So, if you watched my video on C++ messaging and followed along, you'll now have a neat little messaging system that you can put into your program, decoupling classes and making it easier for you to respec your code when something inevitably breaks or needs changing. The only question now is, how the fuck am I actually going to put this in my code? I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm just doing this for the shits and giggles. I'm not some kind of software engineer. Well, that's where this little piece comes in. I'm going to demonstrate what you can do with a messaging system. Now, I'm using Ben Arnold's code as a base for my own work because his tutorial series is what really got me to this point. But unfortunately, as of this video, he doesn't really put out videos anymore, so we're going to have to go forward with no path laid out for us. And that's not a bad thing, because it means we'll evolve into something that we couldn't if we were just following instructions. So, what are we going to do with this messaging system? Well, first we're going to have to decide what we want to do with our game. Currently, I am working with a simple twin-stick shooter of a zombie game where the player shoots zombies. In the current configuration, the player is the only character with guns and can shoot. I want to change that so that other creatures than the player can shoot. Now, that could mean that I have to make a new class called Gunmen and give them guns and a list of bullets and just copy the code I used for the player. But if I did that, and I change how guns, bullets, or the character interacts with each other in the class form, then I'm going to have to change it all over the place, tracing my code all over to find where each connecting point is. So instead of doing that, we're going to decouple guns from people and bullets from guns. Then, when we're done, we'll have a list of characters that can shoot, a list of guns that can shoot, and a list of bullets that are currently on the screen, instead of each gunman having a list of guns that they can use, and each gun having a list of bullets that it has fired. This is going to be a lot of work, but hopefully it'll mean our code is easier to work with in the future. So, now that we've identified what we need to do, we need to figure out how to do it. First, we identify the places where the classes connect. This is in the player, gun, and bullet classes. Now, we're going to have to relocate certain aspects of each class. The player contains guns and bullets, and we're going to have to move those from the player into the game code where we're going to be using them. In my case, it's a class called Tower Defense, but in your code it might be the main game class or even the main CPP file. We'll have to do some juggling so that the guns and bullets update so that they can do things like move and fire. Then comes the actual insertion of the messaging system. We'll stick a listener into the bullet class, both a sender and listener into the gun class, and a sender into the player class. If all goes well, then the player class will send a message to the gun class telling it where to fire the bullet and the direction of travel, and then the gun class will send a message to the bullet class telling it to add some bullets to the position and moving in the direction specified. With that in place, we will be primed to create a gunman class that will only need to have a sender to the gun class added instead of being hooked directly into the gun class. This means that all the bullets that are meant to be fired will be done in a single loop instead of multiple loops for each character that can fire a gun, hopefully cutting down on the coding time and processing time in the final game. Now let's get to coding, as there is certainly going to be problems we did not anticipate. But C++ is the kind of language where you should plan out your code before you dive right in, so that you can spot potential problems. Anyways, let's get on with it.